Chapter 1071. Why are there still more? Do you not need money to make Dharma artifacts? Xianglong opened his mouth wide and howled. He was about to cry. In that instant, boundless lightning erupted in a frenzy, and an extremely high temperature and extreme pressure surged forth. What was even more terrifying was that the countless falling missiles and metal fragments melted into a torrent of molten steel under the high temperature. It was equivalent to adding a medium and increasing the power by 10 times. Rumble. Xianglong was completely drowned by the torrent of molten steel, lightning, and flames. His fingers exploded, his chest exploded, his legs exploded, and his head exploded. It hurts so much. Xianglong howled like a pig being slaughtered. Essence Qi erupted, and he used all his strength to rush a kilometer away and enter the teleportation portal. At this moment he was extremely miserable. His 4 limbs were severed and only his muscles and meridians were left. He was almost like a human stick. Half of his head had been cut off and his chest had exploded. Even his heart had been ruptured. Even if he had an invincible Vajra body and had secret recovery techniques, it would be difficult for him to recover in less than 10 years, let alone return to his peak state. I hate you to death. Despicable and shameless sneak attacks. Xianglong gritted his teeth. He sadly realized that his manhood was gone. He was so angry that his remaining eyeball was bloodshot. He was extremely resentful. This is not over. I will definitely come back. I'm going to tear you to shreds. I'm going to wipe out everyone on Earth. Just you wait. You will come back. Are you Grey Wolf? Tang Linglong appeared in the sky above the command center and said disdainfully, "Don't come back. Just stay here. Give him another shot." Inside the lightning teleportation gate there was already another world. No attack could hurt him. However, Xianglong was still scared out of his wits. He hurriedly activated the teleportation portal and turned into a crooked golden light, flying toward West Earth. In the sky, endless lightning dissipated and molten steel scattered. The teleportation portal trembled for a while and suddenly disappeared. The battlefield returned to peace. All that was left were dilapidated walls, bullet holes, burn marks, lava flowing, and smoke billowing. If it weren't for the fact that they still existed, everyone would have thought that the world-shaking battle had never happened. The gods of West Earth have been repelled. We won. A soldier walked out from the bunker and said with a trembling voice. Everything that had just happened was too shocking. The deity from West Earth was too powerful. He faced the cannon fire head-on and moved with the wind. Every move he made seemed to have the power to destroy heaven and earth. We won. We have defeated the gods. A Wuxia general nodded slowly, his face glowing with pride like never before. Everyone present looked in the direction of the command center, where the experts of Tianqing school were, with great reverence in their eyes. They knew that from this day onwards, a great power of the present age would gradually rise, and a peerless great sect would be established. In the history of mankind, Tianqing school was the only existence that could defeat the gods of other dimensions. Heavy cannons strike 30,000 li, exterminate the experts of West Earth. Zhou Xian's eyes were like torches. That's why he's so extraordinary. He has never been so narrow-minded as to strengthen himself. Instead, he has been igniting the flame of the cultivation civilization, spreading a higher level of civilization, and achieving rapid progress for mankind. There are no weak soldiers under his command. Even if he is not here, Tianqing school will not be at a disadvantage. Mankind on Earth will not be threatened at all. You're right, Elder Chao. Behind him, Yi Zhantian and many soldiers of the Huaxiaolong formation nodded. Their eyes were full of reverence and a strong sense of pride rose in their hearts. They straightened their backs and shared the glory. Although the Kuelian system was developed in Sidoni, at least half of the scientists in the Sidoni Academy of Sciences were directly involved in the development of the system. Many research institutions in Wuxia were directly involved in the development of the system. They were all from Wuxia. 40% of the patents even belonged to the research departments of Wuxia. More than 90% of Tianqing school students were martial artists from Wuxia. It could be said that the Kuelian system was rooted in the land of Wuxia and blossomed in Sidoni. Who said that Huaxia's scientific research ability was not strong? Who said that Wuxia did not have a sense of innovation? Could be said that Wuxia was growing crazily in another direction of the technology tree. Even the United States was suppressed. Alas, a real god-killing weapon. Killing gods is as easy as cutting grass. After this battle, Tianqing School will be famous all over the world, and Sidonie will also rise to the top of the world's superpower. Wuxia will benefit immensely. Keynes said with emotion. The general of the Pentagon, the head of the United States Earth Defense Force, as the highest-ranking witness in the secular world among the people present, set the final tone for this world-shaking war. At this moment he had to admit defeat. Everyone's hearts were filled with sorrow. Just a few months ago, when Zhang Tian slaughtered the Holy See and the Brahmin, he pushed Tianqing School to the position of the world's top orthodoxy. However, in private, many organizations and people still had doubts about him. Some extreme believers of the Holy See and the Brahmin even regarded Zhang Tian and Tianqing School as the root of the disaster. They thought that it was them who attracted the revenge of the dimensional world and led the earth into a place of eternal damnation. They were also pessimists, and they firmly believed that the gods of the dimensional world were invincible. But now Zhang Tian had used the lives of 3 powerhouses from West Earth to announce to the world that a truly invincible orthodoxy had appeared. Even if the powerhouses from the dimensional world and Zhang Tian were not present, some disciples and the artifacts left behind by Zhang Tian could kill them. The key was that Zhang Tian was not present. This already showed that Tianqing School already had the strength to stand alone and fight against the powerhouses from the dimensional world. Now even the United States and the European Union did not dare to compete with Zhang Tian. After all, Tianqing School and Sidonie's Sky Troop were the main forces in this final battle. If the United States and the other major countries resisted the powerhouses from West Earth, even if they used nuclear weapons, they might not be able to kill them. From now on, even Huaxia's Kunlun and the mysterious Hongmeng had to be respectful to Zhang Tian and Tianqing School. As for those who had doubted Zhang Tian's elimination of the 2 great orthodoxies as the root of the disaster, those who surrendered and those who led the way, they were all slapped in the face and could no longer doubt. And in this battle, the invasive nature of the dimensional world was clear as day. They did not want to be pacifists at all, and they did not just want to kill Zhang Tian and Tianqing School. Instead, they were ambitious, cruel, and ruthless. They saw the human race on Earth as ants and wanted to occupy Earth, enslave and kill all humans. Everyone could clearly see how tragic the ending of the Indian general was. And Tianqing School also proved to those pessimists. The so-called gods were just slightly stronger creatures. With the wisdom and courage of the human race on Earth, they could still be killed. Sidonie became stronger, and the one who benefited was naturally Huaxia. Because the roots of Zhang Tian and Tianqing School were in Huaxia. Salute to the world's strongest powerhouse, Tianqing School's suzerain Kong Teichu. Salute to Tianqing School. Salute to all the commanders and soldiers of the Sky Troop. When Yi Tianren, Tang Linglong, Zhang Chenzhen, Sasaki Haisha, and the others walked out of the headquarters, they were immediately greeted with earth-shattering cheers. The applause was thunderous. Countless generals, soldiers and powerhouses from the Dark World who came to watch the battle or provide assistance. The entire battlefield of 300,000 people looked solemn and solemn. They saluted them one after another to show their highest respect. Yi Tianren looked around at the generals and said in a deep voice, "Everyone, please remember this. Whether it's Tianqing Heavenly Kingdom or the West Earth Dimension, they are not gods but living beings. They are not indestructible. Today we have successfully slaughtered the gods according to Master Kong Teichu's deployment. This is to prove to everyone that even if they are true gods, they are not that great. They can still be killed." As soon as these words came out, the whole place was dead silent. Everyone was shocked. That's right. Even if Kong Teichu was not here, his disciples could kill gods. Now what could provoke Kong Teichu? It was the world's #1 orthodoxy, the #1 country. However, in the crowd, a trace of worry appeared on Zhou Xian's face, and his brows gradually furrowed. This time, the 3 powerhouses from West Earth that Tianqing School had killed were all of high status in that world. Moreover, one of them had escaped and returned. Presumably, West Earth Dimension would also be furious and carry out an even crazier revenge. If they made more preparations, there would be an even larger number of powerhouses invading. I wonder how Zhang Tian is now. I hope that the heavens will help him and that he will return soon. Not only Zhou Xian but countless people present also had such hopes in their hearts. This blue planet was actually as small as a speck of dust in the vast universe. When one opened their eyes and looked at the sky, they would see the depth and terror of the universe. At this moment Zhang Tian, just like the savior and the greatest trump card of this planet, no one could ignore his existence. Chapter 1072. The 3 invaders of West Earth had been destroyed. When the news spread, it swept across the world like a hurricane. Many media outlets carried out a series of reports and paid close attention to this matter. This time it was different from the past. Originally, the various countries had strictly guarded the existence of the dimensional world and did not want the public to know about it. However, this time, after a close discussion between the higher-ups of the various countries, some news was released rhythmically. This was because, in the eyes of the various major countries, the real threat was the superpower houses like Cultivation. They had super strong martial strength that was enough to shake the existing order. Once the ordinary people knew about it, it would overturn the foundation of governance. However, it was different now. Cultivation was no longer a threat to the various major countries but an ally. Could even be said that he was a leader and a backer. Zhang Tian was connected to the fate of the entire human race on Earth, realizing a community of shared destiny. They depended on each other, shared interests and shared a common fate. The concept of a community of shared destiny was proposed by Wuxia officials in 2011. It was now popular and highly recognized. At this moment, the biggest threat came from the dimensional world. They could even wipe out the human race on Earth and turn this world into ruins. At this time, the entire human race needed to be united and mobilize all the forces that could be mobilized. When they saw the news, the people were shocked. West Earth, as a mysterious and unknown dimensional world, had actually been invaded by a living powerhouse. This news was too shocking. Although the people did not know the specific situation, they were certain of one thing. The world's top orthodoxy, the Brahmin, was just a puppet supported by someone on Earth. The power and mystery of West Earth could be imagined. However, such a terrifying powerhouse that descended from such a terrifying world was actually killed by Cultivation's disciple. This was too shocking. When the authoritative media of various countries released the relevant videos, 6 billion people around the world sat in front of their televisions, holding their phones and watching carefully. Their hearts were in their mouths. Because this was the first time in history that humans on Earth were so close to an extraterrestrial civilization. In the end, some video clips were also released. Only then did the people realize that the invaders were so powerful, but the Tianqing school and the Earth's allied forces were even stronger. They had actually succeeded in killing the gods. The people kept mentioning a name, Cultivation. He was one of the most powerful people in the world. He had once suppressed the great powers of the world and annihilated the Holy See and Brahman. He had once slaughtered his way through the world and was unrivaled. He was Sidoni, the founder of Tianqing school. Only by raising human civilization to a new height with his own strength could he successfully stop the invasion of West Earth. It turned out that many of Zhang Tian's deeds were kept secret. But now, a lot of the information could be made public. This would be of great benefit to increasing the confidence of the humans on Earth. He is the founder of the Cultivation civilization, the true hero, the hero of all mankind. Knock down the Statue of Liberty and erect a bronze statue of Cultivation. Many Americans clamored like this. In fact, Keynes also thought so. During the State Affairs meeting, he worked very hard to push for this matter. If a war were to break out between West Earth and Earth, it would probably exceed the scale of World War II. This would be the greatest crisis in the history of mankind. And in a crisis, liberalism was useless. Only a high degree of centralization could win. Gentlemen, we have to understand that we have to change our thinking. We even have to change our way of life, social organization and operation. The largest and cruelest war in history has arrived. We are facing an extraterrestrial civilization, a civilization that surpasses Earth's technology. At the Earth Defense Joint Conference, the Pentagon's representative, General Keynes, spoke passionately. At this time, we need to centralize power, have sufficient material resources, maintain confidence and unify beliefs. I suggest that not only in the United States but also all over the world, we should erect a bronze statue of Cultivation. Let this fearless spiritual fire spread all over the world. The 5 permanent members all expressed no objection. However, Sidoni rejected it. This matter could only be decided after the sect master returned. By the Quillian system now. Is it too late? The Prime Minister of Japan pleaded with Sidoni and Wuxia in a pitiful tone. A Prime Minister of Russia also looked nervously at Zhang Qinzhen and the others. When the Quillian test fired, Many big countries expressed that they wanted to buy it. However, the upper echelon's power operations and games were very complicated. In the end, Japan and Russia did not really buy it. This was because at that time, Japan had already reorganized the cabinet to get rid of the control of Jiang Tian's divine sense. The new cabinet was abnormally afraid and rejected Kong Teichu. They even thought that Jiang Tian's words about the impending invasion of alien civilizations were nonsense. They wanted to take advantage of the situation and start a non-existent arms race to make a fortune. The Russian intelligence agencies were more complicated, and they had already been in contact with the wolf ancestor and the kindred. They did not deny the existence of special creatures or even alien civilizations. Chapter 1073. In the time passage from the heavenly kingdom dimension to Earth, Jiang Tian released endless vermilion bird light, enveloping himself in Huang Linger. He was calm and collected as he rushed over like lightning. Boom. Finally, the holy light in front flickered violently and then suddenly disappeared. Jiang Tian and Huang Linger had already landed on the ground. It was the Holy Tomb. It was originally the place where Saint Adam and Saint Paul slept, but now, it had been leveled and a tall bronze statue had been built. His long robes fluttered in the wind, and his face was as handsome as a god's. His eyes were arrogant as he looked down on the world, but there was also a hint of hidden compassion. Beside him was the Xianxia azure dragon, the whirling divine tree and the Gingjin divine general. Messiah was prostrating and praying devoutly in front of the bronze statue when he suddenly saw the door of holy light open. Then Jiang Tian and Huang Linger appeared together. It must be an illusion. How can it be so fast? He rubbed his eyes hard, thinking that he was seeing things. Jiang Tian chuckled. You're not seeing things. It's really Sect Master Jiang. You're finally back. Taichu bless you. Hearing Jiang Tian's words, Messiah was convinced that Jiang Tian had really returned. He couldn't help but tremble with excitement as he called out in surprise. His eyes were wet. But as soon as he said that, he felt that it was very awkward and contradictory. Jiang Tian was worshipped by them as a true god, an omniscient and omnipotent god. Taichu bless me, thanks to Taichu's blessings, or I swear in the name of Taichu, had become the catchphrase of many believers. But in fact, why would Jiang Tian need his own protection? That didn't make sense logically. Jiang Tian smiled and said, "All right, cut the crap. What's the situation now?" West Earth invaded, but they were repelled by the powerhouses of Tianqing School. Messiah quickly reported concisely. Sect Master, you're finally back. At this time, the Wolf King also rushed over after hearing the news. He kowtowed with tears streaming down his face. In fact, everyone knew that Tianqing School's victory at Death Hill was just a warm-up for this war. There would be even more intense battles in the future. Therefore, the Wolf King and everyone else's hearts were hanging by a thread. At this time, Jiang Tian returned. His heart was completely at ease. Jiang Tian glanced at him and asked, "How are my wife and child?" "Very good, very healthy," Alexander reported. "Yes. Good. Get up. I'll return to Sidonie right away." Jiang Tian nodded. "Canes, Chao Shixiang and the other leaders have some follow-up matters to discuss with you. He's waiting outside the door." The Wolf King hesitated for a moment before probing. Jiang Tian's words clearly meant that he was going to step on his sword and fly back to Sidonie. However, the political leaders of various countries had been waiting for Jiang Tian for many years. But they didn't know how to fly. Jiang Tian frowned and said, "I have to hurry home and take a look. How about this? Prepare a commercial plane or a fighter jet. I'll take the plane home. They'll accompany me. We'll have the meeting on the plane." "Your private plane is at Rome International Airport?" the Wolf King asked with trepidation, "But the Russian Emperor hasn't arrived yet. Do you want to wait? He said that as long as you come back he will only need 3 hours to take a private plane. What do you think? Nothing is more important than me going home to accompany my wife." Jiang Tian's voice suddenly turned cold. The Wolf King Alexander was so scared that his entire body trembled. He hurriedly bowed and said, "This subordinate understands." If it was before, Jiang Tian would at least maintain superficial respect and courtesy when he met the leaders of large countries like the Russian Emperor and the President of the United States. After all, although Sidonie was powerful, other countries also had their own advantages. But now Wuxia and Sidonie were the most important countries in the Earth Defense Alliance. Because he controlled the core technology of the only Kuelian that could kill the powerhouses of the dimensional world. Zhang Tian's international status had long left the Russian emperor far behind. It would be giving him too much face to ask Zhang Tian to wait for him. Moreover, Zhang Tian was now the master of the heavenly state and the star dimension. The area there surpassed Earth, and the civilization there was more advanced. Why would he care about the leader of a mortal country like the Russian emperor? The Wolf King immediately made the arrangements. A moment later, Zhang Tian and Huang Linger, accompanied by Messiah and the Wolf King, arrived at the airport. Keynes, Zhou Xian, the president of the European Union, Jung, and many other officials and dignitaries gathered and waited for a long time. When they saw Zhang Tian arrive, they were so excited that they couldn't stop crying. They all bowed to Zhang Tian to show the highest respect. There was no need to ask. Zhang Tian's safe return was equivalent to announcing that Zhang Tian had taken over the heavenly state dimension. At this time, Zhang Tian had already dominated 3 worlds and was the supreme ruler. Zhang Tian didn't bother to be polite with them. He just wanted to go home as soon as possible, so he hurriedly boarded the plane. On the plane, Keynes and the others immediately reported the situation to Zhang Tian. They reported that India had rebelled temporarily and wanted to surrender to West Earth. They also asked Zhang Tian to make a decision. In fact, other than the Indian general who had rebelled temporarily, there were many members of the upper class of India who were extremely Brahmin believers and looked forward to the arrival of West Earth. Our Pentagon's spies in the Indian military obtained intelligence. In the process of your advancement to the Holy See, the president of the Indian National Academy of Sciences, Raman, once suggested to the Department of Defense to launch nuclear weapons on you. Keynes' eyes were like torches as he said in a deep voice, but because the Brahmin was very confident in this battle, Gaia expressed that he could kill you, and the Indian military was also worried that it would cause conflicts and local wars in Central Asia. In the end, this proposal was rejected. What else do you want to ask? Execute him. Zhang Tian frowned and said softly, don't wait for the International Court of Justice. Let's not wait for the International Military Court. I think it's too slow. We want to form our own joint court and don't need any defense procedures. Once the investigation is confirmed, he will be executed immediately. Isn't this suspected of interfering in the internal affairs of other countries? Will it violate international law? Will it cause their counterattack? European Union President Jung wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. The others also looked uneasy. Zhang Tian's actions were too extreme. If you don't kill him, then I'll kill him myself. I don't even need to do anything for this kind of person to die. Zhang Tian's posture was lazy, but his gaze was as sharp as a blade as he said indifferently, do you know that if I wasn't there, if the Kuelian and Tianqing school weren't there, it would only take a month for the West Earth dimension and their henchmen to wipe out all the humans on Earth? Yes, we understand. Keynes, Jung, and the others nodded their heads vigorously. Zhang Tian was suddenly taken aback. He didn't say a word as a glint of darkness flashed in his eyes. He thought of his last life 8,000 years later after he had ascended to the divine realm. The entire Earth and even the Milky Way had become a dark zone. There was no life, no matter, and no time. It must have been wiped out by the divine realm. In this cruel, cold, and endless vast universe, Earth, a tiny blue planet, must strive to develop, strengthen itself, and dare to raise its eyebrows and draw its sword against any invaders. Capitulationism and defeatism were not acceptable. Those who led the way had to be killed. In fact, Zhang Tian didn't know when the Earth and the Milky Way had been destroyed in his last life. But a conservative guess was that it would take at least a few hundred years. Zhang Tian still had enough time to save the civilization. But the premise was that the entire Earth and all the humans had to be united. Fortresses were often breached from the inside. Losing humanity meant losing a part of it. But losing the bestial nature meant losing everything. Chapter 1074. Immediately, the Earth Defense Alliance issued an announcement that they would file a lawsuit against those rebels and sentence them to death. When the news came, the world was in an uproar. At this time, Zhang Tian had returned to Sidoni and came to the training hall of Tianqing School. Zhang Tian, you're back. Qinger came out to greet him. Only now was she told that Zhang Tian had made a trip to the Kingdom of Heaven. Zhang Tian nodded, revealing a touch of joy. His divine sense had already scanned that Qinger's cultivation had returned to the peak of qi refining stage, and the child in her belly was also very healthy. It seemed that using the spiritual energy seed to maintain the vitality of Qing'er and his baby daughter was indeed effective. I'm really sorry that this time I didn't fight side by side with you. Zhao Xueqing's face was full of apology, and tears were flickering in her beautiful eyes. Although she didn't go to the kingdom of heaven personally, she could imagine the danger of that battle. Presumably there were many strong people there, and even Jiang Tian might be injured. Because she knew that in Jiang Tian's heart she and his baby daughter must be the most important, and he always cared about them. If Jiang Tian wasn't injured, he would definitely come back as soon as possible. However, Jiang Tian was delayed in the kingdom of heaven for several months. There was only one explanation, and that was that Jiang Tian was injured and was healing. You and the child's health is more important than anything else, Jiang Tian said with a smile. At this time, Zhao Xueqing took Huang Linger's hand and smiled. Linger, this trip to the kingdom of heaven, you've worked hard. Huang Linger shook her head gently and said with shame, I didn't help much and became a burden. The strong people in the kingdom of heaven are too powerful. Linger, how powerful are the strong people in the kingdom of heaven? Qing'er was surprised. Ling-er was now at the early stage of foundation establishment. She was on par with Yi Tianren and Situ Shao. She said that the experts in Heavenly Kingdom were so powerful. It was obvious that they were really terrifying. After Huang Linger finished talking, Zhao Xueqing's face revealed a trace of worry and said in a solemn voice, This Heavenly Kingdom world is actually not inferior to Heavenly Star. There are actually experts who have lived for tens of thousands of years, as well as giants and elves. I'm afraid it's the same for the other dimensional worlds. It seems like we have to raise our cultivation. At this time, the most important thing for you is to take care of the fetus. With your husband here, don't worry, they won't be able to break in. Jiang Tian smiled warmly with a hint of praise. However, Ling-er blocked the sacred ancestor's attack for me and gave me some time to catch my breath. Otherwise, I would have been beaten up by Qi Liao. Chapter 1075. But Jiang Tian didn't answer. Instead, his expression changed slightly. He stepped into the air and flew out of the door to the roof of the central hall of Tianqing School. From here one could overlook the entire Tianqing School's Taoist field, the capital of San Juan in the south, and the magnificent Kuelian Mountains. Standing proudly in the air, a strong sense of pride suddenly rose from the bottom of his heart. Why don't you come out to meet me? Jiang Tian flicked his sleeves and an exquisite small table appeared on the roof of the hall. On it were wine cups and jugs made of green jade. Jiang Tian waved his hand and the jug flew to him. The clear immortal wine from Star World was poured into the wine cup with great precision. The aroma of the wine overflowed. Then he warmed it with the fire of the vermilion bird. Instantly the aroma spread for 10 miles and intoxicated countless people. Good wine. Seeing immortal Master Zhang's skill in warming wine, I really wasted my time in this world. I don't know anything about wine. Deep in the clouds, an old man in a loose robe stood in the air. He was bathed in the moonlight and stood on the clouds like an immortal. Since ancient times the sages have been lonely. Only the drinkers leave their names. This wine is called Drunken Immortal. It's the collection of heaven and earth Taoist Li Longyuan from Star World. Sir, you have the style of an immortal. This wine is really good for you. Jiang Tian made an inviting gesture. The old man came so fast. He didn't even move his legs. In a flash, he crossed the distance of several kilometers and sat down in front of Jiang Tian. He picked up the wine cup and drank it. Then his eyes lit up and he praised, as expected of an immortal wine. Good wine. Li Wuji, sect master of Kunlun sect. Jiang Tian also sat down across from him and said with a careless smile, Among the many famous mountains in Wuxia, your Kunlun sect is the ancestral court of Taoism and is respected by the world. And I once defeated Zhang Qianlei of the Celestial Master sect of Mount Longhu, killed Qin Pingon of the ancient martial sect, and executed Hao Taichong of the Amei sect. The number of Dao sect disciples who died by my hands is innumerable. Are you here for a fight or just to drink? This person was none other than the sect leader of the Kunlun sect, Li Wuji. His seniority was very high and he had lived a long life. His cultivation level was unfathomable. Even Yi Tianren, who was strong, had received his guidance in the past. He was the world wayfarer of the Kunlun sect. He represented the Kunlun sect in interfering with the secular world and turned the tide. The Kunlun sect was ethereal and mysterious. It was far away from the secular world and was known as the real hidden sect. They would not easily come out of the mountains unless the world was truly destroyed. Tang Linglong commanded the Battle of the Death Hill, and it was also obvious that she had improved. No wonder your Tianqing school has grown so strong so quickly. There are no weak soldiers in the school. Turns out that there are great teachers like you. Fellow Taoist Taichu, you are not leading disciples but troops. Li Wuji glanced at Yi Tianren with a smile and said, "This time I'll bring Yi Karen and a few elite disciples." "Thank you, Senior Wuji." Yi Tianren was overjoyed when he heard that. He went to Star World and received guidance from Jiang Tian. He also obtained endless cultivation resources and combat experience. Could be said that he benefited greatly. Yi Karen had such an opportunity at such a young age. It was really worth celebrating. At this moment, Li Wuji suddenly flicked his finger, and a small sandalwood box appeared in his hand out of thin air. The inheritance of Kunlun is indeed extraordinary. Jiang Tian's heart skipped a beat. Li Wuji was wearing a storage ring. This was the second time Jiang Tian had encountered a local space Dharma treasure after returning to Earth, except for the sky-devouring demonic gourd. Moreover, when he scanned it with his divine sense, he found that his divine sense did not penetrate the wooden box. Of course, if he used the Soul Devourer's divine sense, he could wear down even the most powerful divine sense array, but there was no need for that at this time. Jiang Tian's face was as calm as water. He said, "What is this?" "Immortal Master Jiang, haven't you been looking for the incomplete map of the ruins of immortality? The old man has a few here as a gift for Immortal Master Jiang. I think your incomplete map of the ruins of immortality will become the complete map of the ruins of immortality," Li Wuji said with a smile. What? Huang Linger and Yi Tianren were shocked. This was a supreme treasure that involved the specific location of the gate of the ruins of immortality. Even Song Shuangyan with her status had been eager to obtain it. She could even get the opportunity to join Mount Shu and Mount Amei with a few admission tickets. Li Wuji opened the box and took out 3 yellowed fragments. He smiled and said with a smile, "Just like what Taichu said, the ruins of immortality are very likely to have evil intentions towards Earth. And if we wait here, we can only wait passively." The old man believes that if Taichu finds the gate of the ruins of immortality and enters the world of immortality, it is better to take the initiative to attack than to wait for death. "Tao Friend Limitless, your gift is too precious." Jiang Tian scanned with his divine sense and knew that the fragment was real. And when combined with the incomplete map he had obtained, it happened to be a complete map of the ruins of immortality. Hearing this, Heavenly Yi bowed deeply with cupped fists and said emotionally, "Senior Li's breadth of mind is truly admirable." Li Wuji asked. Huang Linger frowned again. She didn't know why, but she felt that something was wrong again. However, she couldn't say anything at all. After all, Li Wuji had already shown his sincerity by giving away the incomplete map of the ruins of deities. "I must have gauged the heart of a gentleman with the yardstick of a villain. This kind of immortal-like person can't be like what I thought," Huang Linger thought to herself. Jiang Tian said without hesitation, "Good. Right now we should work together and fight side by side." "I agree with this wholeheartedly." Li Wuji's face lit up again. "Besides, the reclusive royalty has offended Master Immortal Jiang. Yingying Laozu also said that he would help the Tianqing school to guard Wuxia and make up for his mistakes. But they can't leave their homeland and they don't have a leader. They want to join the Huaxiaolong formation with the Kunlun sect and form an alliance to guard Wuxia. What do you think, Master Immortal Jiang?" Chapter 1082. Jiang Tian had returned from killing enemies in the heavenly realm. Only the heads of the various countries and the top higher-ups knew about it. Many people thought that Jiang Tian might have died in the heavenly realm. When Yi Karen heard the news, she immediately understood that Jiang Tian might have taken over the heavenly realm and become the ruler of the world. This was a big news. How could she not be excited and shocked? Disciple greets Grandmaster. Yi Karen hurriedly left the venue with Cheng Lulu and saw Li Wuji standing outside the door with his hands behind his back, as if waiting for someone. She immediately bowed. Disciple greets the former sect leader of the Kunlun sect. Cheng Lulu was even more nervous and uneasy. In her eyes he was like a living immortal. Li Wuji's face was calm as he said slowly, Kong Teichu has arrived. He is now at the Qingxi tea house. Let's go see him. After saying that, he soared into the sky. Yes. Yi Karen's face was slightly shocked. She released her flying sword and stepped on it. With a swoosh, she disappeared into the sky. Oh my god, Kunlun is really powerful. That flying sword, that movement technique, it's really like a god. Oh my god, he is really Kong Teichu. He even gave me a set of cultivation techniques. Qing Tian was so excited that her soul was shaking. She couldn't even stand steadily. But after a while she understood. Jiang Tian must have helped her because she was her sister and Qing Tian was once his disciple. Sai, my sister once said that Kong Teichu was very cold. After the training with Battle Dragon he didn't let them call him master anymore. Now it seems that he is actually very warm. Yes, after my sister died, the charity fund of the Medicine King Group, Old Master Jiang Chongqing, once gave my family hundreds of thousands of yuan to treat my old and sick parents, buy a house and hire a nanny. Cheng Lulu clenched the cultivation technique book tightly in her hand and murmured, moreover, it is said that he is extremely vicious and will kill people and destroy countries. He is very warm. He even touched my head. Cheng Lulu, you must work hard to cultivate and protect Wuxia. You can't let him down. Cheng Lulu's clear and beautiful eyes flickered with tears, but her gaze was incomparably firm. Jiang Tian soon met up with Li Wuji and Yi Karen. Disciple greets immortal Master Jiang. Yi Karen bowed deeply, but her pair of beautiful shining eyes looked up, sizing up Jiang Tian. Her feelings toward Jiang Tian were very complicated. She was in awe and respect at the same time. He was a very proud person. In the past she had thought that she could surpass Jiang Tian if she joined Kunlun. But now Jiang Tian was already a person who could stand shoulder to shoulder with the former Kunlun supreme leader. Even if Ji Muxian saw him he would have to lower his head and bow to show his respect for fear of neglecting him. They used to live in the dimension world formed by the array and cultivated in seclusion. They didn't even touch a mobile phone or a computer. After coming out of seclusion they realized the richness of the mortal world. They learned how to use a mobile phone and a computer in an instant, and they all had different hairstyles and styles. When Ji Mingchuan was outside he would wear a custom-made Armani suit. Yi Yuhui also took off his Taoist robe. His current appearance was no different from the fashionable girls in the modern city. Senior brother, the mortal world may be filthy, but gadgets like mobile phones and computers are very convenient. Next to him was a young man with an even more exaggerated appearance. His hair was dyed in all sorts of colors, making him look like a parrot. Coincidentally, his name was Ying Wu, so everyone gave him the nickname of Parrot. In fact, he was also a descendant of the royal Ying family and was Ying Su's cousin. He had been cultivating in the Kunlun sect since he was young. Ying Su, you did well this time. Senior Muxian personally taught you a technique. Your future is limitless. Zhou Xian said enviously. You did well too. You have an elder's personal disciple. Ying Su smiled, but there was still a trace of pride in the depths of his eyes. In the end, I can't compare to the personal disciple of the sect leader. Zhou Xian said politely. Li Guangkol said, Zhou Xian, you have to be content. I heard that the granddaughter of one of the founding fathers has taken a fancy to you. You can train in the Guardians Alliance and make meritorious contributions. With the support of your father-in-law, you will enter an important department of the country in the future. Maybe you will become a governor or even the central government. Now the news that the world might change was no longer a secret in the top upper-class society of Wuxia. Promoted by high-ranking officials, invested by plutocrats, or guided by scholars, various research institutions popped up like bamboo shoots after a spring rain, such as the Preaching Research Institute, Bodhi Biology and God-Making Technology. Those well-informed influential forces had already started to make arrangements for this matter, which was equivalent to a risky investment. Zhou Xiaoqian's political marriage was such a situation. Although the world's great changes sounded incredible and the probability of it being realized was slim, they had many influential families. However, the rich and powerful families had many descendants. If they pushed out a girl to marry him, they would be able to take the initiative in the future great changes in the world. This investment was also a small capital and a huge profit. Moreover, as the descendants of the great Ming dynasty's royal family, the Zhou family had a deep heritage and considerable assets. Any great historical change was like this. Most ordinary people and the commoners had no idea about the upcoming changes. Yi Karen's eyes turned cold and murderous. This sword is called the Sun-Shrouding Sword. Let's see what Tianqing School is capable of. Suddenly the sword chi exploded. There was a swoosh. Yi Karen jumped out of the scabbard with a long sword on her back. The moment the sword appeared, the sun in the sky dimmed. The sword let out a wild howl and charged towards Tang Linglong. The sword was as fast as lightning. The distance between the two of them was only a few meters. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Tang Linglong. "You're so fierce, you brat." Tang Linglong scowled. She pulled out the finger bone dagger and blocked the attack. There was a series of clanging sounds. It sounded like rain hitting banana leaves. Sparks flew everywhere. Tang Linglong was forced to retreat. "What are you guys doing? The enemy is right in front of you and you're venting your anger on such a trivial matter." Lady Wu wanted to step forward and persuade them. However, after taking a few steps, she felt that her skin was about to split open. She was forced to retreat by the sword chi. It was obvious that Yi Karen had the upper hand. She could suppress Tang Linglong and Lady Wu. Very good. Kunlun also cultivates true essence. Although it's not a top cultivation method, it's already very condensed. It's far better than a martial artist's true essence. Jiang Tian's face was as calm as still water. His heart skipped a beat. "Alright. Don't throw a tantrum and make a fool of yourself in front of Taichu." Li Wuji smiled and raised his right hand. A vast amount of true core strength pressed down gently, and the two of them were suddenly confined. Let's meet in private next time. We'll find a corner and have a good chat." Tang Linglong knew that she was no match for Yi Karen, so she could only retreat. However, she was not weak with her words. Yi Karen's pretty face was slightly cold. She sneered disdainfully and ignored her. She put her sword back into the scabbard. "It's just a draw. What are you so proud of?" Tang Linglong snorted coldly. She was not weaker than Yi Karen. However, suddenly, cracks appeared on the finger bone dagger in her hand. Then it cracked and fell to the ground with a clatter. The finger bone dagger used by Tang Linglong was obtained by Jiang Tian from the treasury of the Dark Parliament. In essence, it came from the Holy See. No one knew which powerful race it was. After Jiang Tian refined it, it became a spirit treasure. Zhou Xueqing had used it for a period of time before. During the Dark Parliament, Zhou Xueqing gave it to her at the Cass River. She had always treasured it very much. She had also used this finger bone dagger to kill a blood ancestor named Cage in the Tulip Mansion in London, England. She had made a name for herself in the international community. Seeing this, Tang Linglong's eyes immediately turned red and she exclaimed, "Yi Karen, you give me back my treasure." Chapter 1086. Zhang Qianlei had fought side by side with Jiang Tian many times, and Jiang Tian valued him very much. He had been sparing no expense to investigate his whereabouts. Hearing this, Jiang Tian immediately took the satellite phone from Tang Linglong and asked anxiously, "Sasaki, have you found Zhang Qianlei's tracks? Where is he?" Jiang Tian's intelligence agency could be said to be one of the best in the world. Not to mention the Tianqing School's outer sect, which was led by Merrill to form an intelligence department. The members were all top spies, secret agents, and computer hackers from all over the world. Even the low-level intelligence personnel were extremely terrifying. The Global Hong Sect, the Japanese Sakura Society, the Russian Tomahawk, the Italian Mafia. In addition, the military intelligence agencies of various countries also had in-depth cooperation with the Tianqing School. Could be said that they were pervasive. According to the previous investigation, Zhang Qianlei lost contact with Jiang Tian on the way to the Sword Tomb Island, and the last place he appeared was in Italy. So, after Jiang Tian killed the Donald family members and supported John Donald to become the new leader of the party, he asked him to investigate. But after that there was no news. After all, Zhang Qianlei had the demeanor of an expert. His whereabouts were mysterious and he was elusive. On the phone, the current leader of the Italian Mafia, John's voice came. "Mr. Jiang, we have found the witnesses and surveillance video of Zhang Qianlei's last disappearance. It was an old Taoist priest from Wuxia who was eating and chatting with him in a small tavern. According to the surveillance video at that time, The old Taoist priest claimed to be from the Imperial Thunder sect in the Xia world. He had supreme thunder techniques and wanted to take Master Qianlei, who had a thunder spirit root, as his disciple. So he took him away. Xia world? Jiang Tian was slightly stunned and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Xia was one of the two fourth-level dimensional worlds on par with Tianxing and Kanglan. It was governed by the third-level dimensional world of the Dragon Gate. Jiang Tian had also heard about the Imperial Thunder sect in the Xia world from many powerhouses in the Star world. It was said that there was a golden core powerhouse in charge. Their thunder techniques were unparalleled, and ordinary foundation establishment powerhouses could kill a golden core powerhouse. To Zhang Qianlei, who specialized in lightning arts, this was naturally a fatal temptation. However, Zhang Qianlei made an appointment with him to go to Sword Tomb Island at that time, but he left without saying goodbye and didn't call to contact him. Perhaps Zhang Qianlei was coerced. If they dare to hurt Zhang Qianlei, I'll skin them alive. Jiang Tian was very worried. The ground shook violently as if there was a huge earth dragon rolling. Dust flew everywhere and basketball-sized rocks were scattered all over the ground. Those tanks and fighter jets that were abandoned a few days ago actually floated up, completely defying the laws of physics. All of a sudden, countless bolts of lightning surged from the ground and from the clouds, forming a giant lightning portal with a radius of a few hundred meters in the sky. There were bright lights deep inside the portal and there were tiny bolts of lightning flashing like silver snakes. But they could vaguely see the world on the other side of the portal. There were mountains, cities, palaces, clouds, and even people that were as small as ants. My words are the law. Golden words are spoken from my mouth. How can there be such a terrifying divine power in this world? Li Wuji was shocked. Karen was dumbfounded. Her pretty face was filled with shock. He's really a godlike man. Lady Wu's eyes were filled with splendor. Her chest heaved up and down and her face flushed. She only hated that Jiang Tian married too early and that she was an old-fashioned guy who didn't know how to flirt. Otherwise she would have swung her hoe and tried to steal from Zhao Xueqing. I'm afraid that even the yin and yang microdust formation of Kunlun won't be able to resist it. Li Wuji mumbled to himself. This Death Hill array was definitely a perfected deity array. It could gather lightning energy, control the dimension and shorten the distance. There were also many restrictions. Even nascent soul overlords would have to be careful when facing it since it wasn't made by them. However, Jiang Tian was able to forcefully activate the formation on the Death Hill with just a finger seal and a low roar. This wasn't only because Jiang Tian was powerful, but also because he had reached an unimaginable level in array formation. Thunder, come. Jiang Tian's purple eyes spun and expanded. Lightning flashed and purple bolts of lightning shot out. At the same time he flicked his fingers and drew talismans in the air. In just a few seconds, a giant cocoon condensed from purple lightning enveloped them like a space capsule. Impressive. Immortal Master Jiang is really good at everything. The martial demon lady was shocked, her mind was shaken. Karen also widened her eyes and exclaimed in her mind. Jiang Tian's power was unfathomable. Jiang Tian's thunder cocoon only flashed slightly and was quite stable. It wouldn't spread to their bodies at all. One had to know. Lightning was the most violent and unstable energy in the world and was extremely difficult to control. And yet it was controlled by Jiang Tian like an obedient kitten. Go! Jiang Tian's face didn't change. He let out a light shout and made another hand sign on the inner wall of the lightning cocoon. Why are you bullying a little girl like me? I didn't provoke you. Kill. The ugly girl with the earthworm face attacked again. The silver bracelet flew out and hit her until she was rolling on the ground and vomiting blood. Seeing this, Lady Wu could not take it anymore. Her face was filled with anger. She shook her two sabers and said coldly, "How can this group of people bully the weak with their numbers?" She was about to attack the group of pursuers. Karen's sword aura exploded and was about to help. Wait. Jiang Tian raised his hand to stop her. He suppressed her sword aura so that she could not move at all. Why? Karen was stunned. Then she became angry and said angrily, "Isn't it the responsibility of cultivators like us to help the weak and uphold justice? Could it be that immortal Master Jiang was injured in the heavenly state and could not defeat them? Or are you afraid of them and do not dare to wage war on West Earth?" At this moment she was very disappointed and despised Jiang Tian. To think that Zhang Tian dominated Earth and was known to be undefeated in 10,000 battles. He was not afraid of the gods and Buddhas. Today he did not dare to help a little girl who was being bullied like this. At this moment she was even suspicious. Was the rumors true that Zhang Tian had already taken down the two worlds of Tianqing and Heavenly State? Perhaps he was just bragging and bluffing? After all, no one had seen it with their own eyes. Li Wuji's face was as calm as still water. He said calmly, "Karen, don't act on your own. What does their life and death have to do with us? Could it be that Kong Teichu is really afraid?" Lady Wu was also confused and doubtful. But after all, she had experienced the battle at the Landsong River. At that time she also thought that the Tianqing school and Zhang Tian did not dare to fight and could not defeat the Holy See and Brahmin. But in fact Zhang Tian and the others only lured the enemy in and finally killed the invading army of 3,000 with the Kuelian. Therefore, thinking of the past, she did not doubt Zhang Tian. She only asked, "Immortal Master Zhang, why didn't we help?" Why? He was clearly afraid. What kind of master is he? Tianqing school is not the #1 orthodoxy. Ridiculous. Yi Karen glared fiercely at Zhang Tian. She was inexplicably sad and indignant, and the corners of her mouth curved into a disdainful smile. Tang Linglong was already unhappy with Yi Karen. Now that she heard her disrespect her master, she was even angrier. How could she stand it? She said coldly, "When my master was fighting the Holy See and Brahmin, where were you? Who didn't dare to fight? Who was the one who turned the tide? Who didn't care about the life and death of the Wuxia cultivation world and didn't care about it?" Her words were obviously scolding the Kunlun sect. In fact, when the Holy See invaded, Yi Zhantian had represented the Long Formation and Wuxia cultivation world to contact the Kunlun sect and ask for help. However, the Kunlun sect was very arrogant. They claimed that they were people who stayed away from the secular world and would only help when the world was destroyed. They politely refused. This was also one of the reasons why many people still regarded the Tianqing school as the #1 orthodoxy in Wuxia and suppressed and belittled the Kunlun sect even though it was located overseas. "Tang Linglong, how dare you insult the Kunlun sect?" Yi Karen was so angry that her whole body trembled. "Karen, listen to what fellow Taoist Taichu has to say. Fellow Taoist Taichu has his reasons for doing things." Li Wuji glared at her. "Reasons? I'd like to see what reasons he has." Yi Karen was angry, but she didn't dare to speak anymore. Does the weak have to be kind? Zhang Tian was so broad-minded that he didn't argue with Yi Karen. He just smiled and asked slowly, "Does the weak occupy justice and morality? If that's the case, the more righteous one is, the weaker one is. In the human civilization and the entire universe, the more despicable and evil one is, the stronger one is, right? Then wouldn't this world be doomed?" Well, Yi Karen was stunned. Zhang Tian put his hands behind his back. A gentle breeze blew his waterfall-like hair and he said with the demeanor of an expert, "Most of the time the weak are the evil ones. Because usually evil can't prevail over good." "Are you saying that the little girl who's being chased is a bad person?" Lady Wu was puzzled. She frowned and asked, "But she looks so young and weak." "The world of West Earth is full of strange things. Let's just watch the show. Maybe the next plot will be very shocking." Zhang Tian's face was calm and relaxed, but there was a trace of vicissitude in the depths of his eyes. It's not that easy to distinguish between good and evil. Sometimes, everyone has their own opinions and acts from their own point of view. There are so many wars and battles, from small fights on the streets to big fights for hegemony between countries, and even the rise and fall of civilizations. In the end, it's just a struggle for survival. The weak are prey to the strong. It's just for a bite to eat and a place to live. Zhang Tian had already seen through it, but he was too lazy to explain. Martial Demon Yang carefully looked at the little girl who was running away and suddenly realized something. The little girl looked weak, but she ran very fast. Her speed was almost comparable to the sound barrier. Wherever she passed, the branches and leaves in her way would explode, forming a green smoke. And every time she was hit and sent flying, she would immediately get up. There were no broken bones. She could withstand the attack of a Foundation establishment cultivator. He was clearly a strong person. The little girl ran very fast. In just a few minutes she had crossed more than 10 miles of forest and arrived in front of Zhang Tian. She hugged Zhang Tian and rubbed her full chest against Zhang Tian's arm. She hurriedly said, "Little brother, you're so handsome and heroic. You must be a hero. You won't leave me in the lurch, right? Chapter 1088. At this moment, the girl with the earthworm-like scars on her face also came over with her men and shouted, "Fellow Taoist, be careful. This demonic woman is called Wu Gong'er. She is a demonic cultivator with extraordinary cultivation. Quickly push her away." Wu Gong'er looked at the girl with the earthworm-like face in disdain and shouted, "Red Butterfly, you are the demonic woman." She sat down on a huge rock beside Jiang Tian, swinging her pair of delicate and beautiful feet. The golden bells on her ankles were jingling. She said in a sad and sorrowful tone, "Hero, I want you to know that this demonic woman and I came from the same village. Red Butterfly and I were childhood friends. However, she was ugly and jealous of my beauty, so she made up lies and called me a demon. She wanted to kill me. Hero, young man, please save me." The man in silver armor looked at Jiang Tian with disdain and shook his head helplessly. "These people are obviously not cultivators. Their consciousness is not strong enough. I am afraid they will be bewitched by the demonic woman. I am afraid they will be bewitched." Red Butterfly is also very worried. She whispered to the man in silver armor, "Brother Xiuzhu, let's split up. I'll save the stranger and you take them to attack Wu Gong. We have to cut them open." The others were hesitant and unwilling. Once the battle started, it would be a fierce battle to the death. However, they still had to take care of a few ordinary people. They would be restrained and would not be able to fight at their best. Xiuzhu was also unwilling, but in the end he nodded lazily. Originally he was too lazy to help a few ordinary people who were as weak as ants. However, Red Butterfly was the daughter of the city lord. His father obeyed her orders. He could not ignore her orders. "What do I get for saving you?" As expected, Jiang Tian did not seem to hear their persuasion. He lowered his head and smiled at Wu Gong'er. "Of course there are benefits." Wu Gong'er was stunned. She smiled sweetly as if the fear just now did not exist. "What benefits? Tell me." Jiang Tian smiled. "If you save me. I know some embarrassing things that only boys and girls do. Let's do it together." The girl once again crawled in front of Jiang Tian and hugged Jiang Tian's arm. Her eyes were like flowing water, her mouth was like orchids, and her snow-white teeth bit her captivating lower lip as she giggled. Her voice was soft and charming. Just a moment ago it was as pure as water, but now it was charming and seductive. Jiang Tian pushed her away and sneered. "I'm sorry, I already have a wife and I'm already very old. I don't like doing this kind of thing." Yi Karen frowned. Although this girl called Wu Gong'er was a bit frivolous and unrestrained, she was still a weak little girl. How could Jiang Tian be so heartless? "How dare you push me when I'm so beautiful?" Yi Karen was about to lend a helping hand. Anyway, in her opinion, Jiang Tian was just an ordinary person who couldn't run away at all. On the other hand, Red Butterfly and the others had cultivation. Not only were they delicious, but they were also very nutritious. They would definitely eat them first. Cows, horses, and animals are not delicious. The taste is not good and the essence is too lacking. Man is the spirit of all things. Saliva flowed out of Wu Gong'er's mouth like a stream. She laughed sinisterly. "Red Butterfly, you wretched girl. Do you think I ran here because I'm afraid of you? Do you think my strength is as simple as you think?" What do you mean?" At this moment Red Butterfly was shocked. Originally, killing the centipede spirit Wu Gong'er was a large-scale military operation for the entire Maolin city. Her father, Governor Mao Bohu, led the garrison army and many experts from small sections. A total of thousands of people participated in the operation. However, Wu Gong'er seemed to be defeated from the beginning. She retreated as she fought. She ran to the top of the Golden Lotus platform and retreated into the depths of the mountain. Wu Gong'er was eager to kill the enemy. She ignored her father's warning and led a small team into the depths of the mountain alone to chase after the enemy. At this moment she suddenly realized that she seemed to have underestimated the enemy. If Wu Gong'er was really so weak, how could she wreak havoc in the vicinity of Maolin City for hundreds of years without anyone being able to kill her? "Red Butterfly, little cutie, I will eat them and then capture you. Your father, the governor, will obediently give people to me to eat every day." Wu Gong'er laughed strangely. He suddenly burst into the air like a giant python. She bared her fangs and brandished her claws as she rushed towards Mao Hongdai. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Mao Hongdia's face turned cold. She raised her hands and the silver bracelets rose into the air and whizzed towards Wu Gong. Xiaozhu held a silver spear and soared into the air. The spear was like an angry dragon as it pierced towards Wu Gonger's back. The others also made their moves. Fireballs, arrows, flying hammers, flying knives, wind blades, rolling logs, they rained down on Wu Gonger like raindrops. Pa pa pa. Wu Gonger's countless claws swung back and forth. In an instant, Mao Hongdia's silver bracelets were smashed into pieces. Wu Gong soared into the air and her sharp bone hook flashed with cold light as she pounced towards Mao Hongdai. Kill her. Quickly save the young miss. Those fireballs and other magical weapons were shot over. Wu Gonger did not even dodge. She allowed them to hit her body. She was actually safe and sound without a single injury. Wu Gonger, who covered the sky and the sun, pounced over like a mountain. Mao Hongdia's face could not help but change in fright. Beads of cold sweat appeared on her forehead. Chapter 1089. Mao Hongdai often fought with her father. Although she was scared, her reaction wasn't slow. She jumped into the air and dodged the attack. Boom. Where she was originally standing, millstone-sized boulders crumbled one after another. The black poisonous gas that Wu Gong spat out permeated the air, and then smelted the shattered rocks. It was extremely corrosive, and if it landed on one's body, they would immediately turn into a pile of withered bones. Mao Hongdai saw this and cold sweat came out like a small stream. He was scared. If she hadn't dodged, she would have been dead. Wu Gong spat out black gas and waved its claws. In an instant, 3 overlords were killed. Die. Fan Xiuzhu, who had missed twice, jumped into the air and stabbed Wu Gonger's neck with his silver spear. Crack. The long spear, which contained the true essence of a Foundation establishment overlord, stabbed into Wu Gonger's neck. Oh no. Everyone else was overjoyed, but Fan Xiuzhu's expression changed drastically, unable to express his bitterness. His long spear was only a few centimeters in. It was stuck in Wu Gonger's neck and couldn't be pulled out. How is this possible? I can kill a mid-stage Foundation establishment overlord with my full strength. Why can't I stab it? Just how strong is its cultivation? He was sweating profusely and was dumbstruck. All of a sudden, the 2 whip-like antennae on top of Wu Gong's head let out a strange howl and swept over. Fan Xiuzhu was frightened. He quickly made hand seals and chanted spells. Suddenly, his body shone brightly and 7 or 8 Dharma artifacts appeared. He retreated like a shooting star. But he was still hit by Wu Gong's antennae. Wu Gong's cultivation wasn't as simple as they thought. It had reached the early stage of the Golden Core realm. One attack could destroy mountains and shatter the earth. Fan Xiuzhu screamed and his waist made a cracking sound. His waist and abdomen were about to be crushed. He flew a few hundred meters away like a rag doll and fell on a rock. He screamed and groaned in pain and lost his ability to fight. Fan Xiuzhu. Mao Hongdia's heart trembled. He and Fan Xiuzhu's family had been friends for generations. They had been childhood sweethearts and they had many common topics to talk about. It was no longer as simple as a guard and a young lady. Sister Red Butterfly, leave quickly. Brother Xiuzhu can't hold on any longer. A cute girl in a green dress pulled Mao Hongdai and said anxiously, in just a few minutes. More than half of the 30 guards had been killed, and even Fan Xiuzhu, who had the highest cultivation among them, was unable to withstand it. If they continued to hold on, only death would await them. When the other guards saw that they were no match for him, they were already terrified and began to flee. Although they were guards, they had not reached the level of loyalty. If the city lord were to blame them, they could just flee. After all, West Earthworld was vast and they would have ways to survive. Luoqi, how many mortals are there? A trace of struggle flashed in Mao Hongdia's eyes. As she retreated, she looked at Jiang Tian and the others and shouted, "Idiots! Hurry up and run." Luoqi stomped her feet anxiously and shouted, "Sister Red Butterfly, why do you care if they live or die? What do they have to do with us? I've already used up all my fireball charms. Why are you running? Didn't this centipede spirit want to eat me? Then I might as well just kill it." Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Facing the overwhelming baleful aura, he walked towards Wu Gonger. Mao Hongdai was dumbfounded. Then she stomped her feet angrily and shouted, "You're crazy. You'll die. Young miss, why do you care if they live or die? If you don't leave now, it will be too late." Luo Qi's face turned pale as she screamed in shock. It's already too late. Suddenly Mao Hongdai sighed. Her face was filled with despair and her legs went soft. Wu Gong'er rampaged through the forest, her hundreds of bone-like claws waving in unison, slapping away one guard after another. Even when Lady Wu attacked, she was instantly caught in the bone-like claws. She spat out black gas and soared into the air. In the blink of an eye, she was only a dozen meters away from Mao Hongdai. In her eyes, the black shadow grew larger and larger. Mao Hongdia's eyes were filled with fear and despair. She could already see Wu Gong'er's sinister and smug smile. Luo Qi was so frightened that she burst into tears. Just when everyone was in despair and helplessness. Suddenly, a dazzling light gushed out and shot towards Wu Gong'er at lightning speed. Then the light grew bigger and bigger like a silver tide, it covered the sky and poured down on Wu Gong'er. You're an expert? Wu Gong'er looked back at Jiang Tian with fear in her eyes. She only had time to let out a scream. Before she could dodge, she was pinned to the ground by hundreds of flying swords. She had no strength to struggle at all. In the blink of an eye, she died an unnatural death. This centipede spirit, which had wreaked havoc on the Golden Lotus platform in Maolin City for hundreds of years and killed dozens of experts as soon as it appeared, was killed by Jiang Tian just like that. The entire area was dead silent. Everyone was dumbfounded. When they saw the flying swords fly into Jiang Tian's heaven-devouring demonic gourd, they realized that Jiang Tian had saved them. Celestial Master Jiang, thank you for your help. Lady Wu still had lingering fear. She wiped the cold sweat off her forehead and walked up to Jiang Tian with a smile to thank him. Celestial Master Jiang, I was blind just now. I didn't see Wu Gong'er's true face. I'm sorry. Yi Karen, on the other hand, was so ashamed that her face was red. She walked up to Jiang Tian and apologized solemnly. At this moment she felt Jiang Tian's monstrous strength. She understood that Jiang Tian's eyes were vicious and not ordinary people could compare with him. Jiang Tian didn't help her because he had already seen Wu Gong'er's true face. If it wasn't for Jiang Tian stopping her, she, Yi Karen, would have already started a battle with Mao Hongdai and the others. Both sides would have suffered heavy injuries, and then she would be eaten by Wu Gong'er, who would sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. Don't mention it. We're working together. Do you think I'll just watch you get killed? Jiang Tian chuckled and didn't take it to heart. Yi Karen was just a junior. Her grandfather was Jiang Tian's disciple. Why would Jiang Tian care about her? How could he just sit by and watch them suffer? Middle stage of Foundation establishment? The young men and women of Maolin City, led by Mao Hongdai, looked at Jiang Tian. The disdain and contempt on their faces were replaced by fear and admiration. Wu Gong'er's cultivation was at least at the early stage of Foundation establishment or even higher. Jiang Tian could kill her, so he was at least at the middle stage of Foundation establishment. Mao Hongdai was also shocked. She finally understood that Jiang Tian was not stupid or reckless. He was 100% confident. At this moment she was very surprised. It was very rare for someone to reach the middle stage of Foundation establishment at such a young age as Jiang Tian, even in the large sects like the Chongqing sect. However, she was the daughter of the city lord after all. She was experienced and knowledgeable. Although she was shocked, she still walked up quickly and bowed graciously. Mao Hongdai of Maolin City greets you, senior. Thank you for saving our lives. My family and I will repay you greatly. The others also came forward to greet him. They were humble and respectful, but their eyes were full of fear. This was the universal law of the cultivation world. The strong were respected and the weak were like ants. Even if there was a certain order, the strong were the law. This iron rule was still eternal. In fact, although Jiang Tian searched a lot of memories in Kasayapa Guru's mind, some of the information was not detailed enough, or it was not consistent with reality. Jiang Tian still needed to familiarize himself with the situation, so he nodded and said, My Taoist name is Star Butcher. I am here with a few friends and disciples. May I know where this place is and who is in charge? The name, Star Butcher, was the abbreviation of Jiang Tian's infamous Starry Sky Butcher in his previous life. However, Jiang Tian had recently broken through 2 dimensions, swept across the 3 realms and shocked the universe. He deserved this name. Everyone's faces were filled with astonishment. They thought to themselves, no wonder their clothes and dressing are so strange. It turns out that they are foreigners. Although Mao Hongye's appearance was ugly, she treated people very well. She was refined and courteous. She said respectfully, Master Star Butcher, this is the Golden Lotus Mountain outside Maolin City of the Yunnan country in the north of West Earth. The nearest city, Maolin City, is about 300 miles away. If you don't mind, you can come with me to Maolin City. My family will be very grateful to you. How far is the famous Xianxia sect from here? Jiang Tian asked with a smile. Xianxia sect? Mao Hongye's face was filled with annoyance, fear and resentment at the mention of this name. She then took a deep breath and said, the Xianxia sect is the fifth sect in West Earth. It dominates the north. The Yunnan country and 3 other countries, 13 big cities, and hundreds of small and medium-sized cities within 1,000 miles of the north are their territory. 1,000 miles to the east, the 10,000-year mountain in the Tianlang country is there. Jiang Tian's eyes were like torches. He immediately sensed Mao Hongye's complicated attitude towards this sect. This girl is not bad. She knows how to repay kindness and distinguish right from wrong. I'll test her. If she's suitable, I'll let her be my representative here. Jiang Tian thought. Then Jiang Tian smiled and said, okay, we'll go to Maolin City right after we come out of seclusion. Sorry for disturbing you. Not at all. It's our honor. Mao Hongdai was delighted when she heard that. Her clear eyes shone brightly. This woman acted swiftly and decisively. She immediately ordered everyone to pack up their luggage and split Wu Gonger into pieces. Then they began their return journey. On the way, he learned from the conversation. West Earth was 10,000 miles wide. Even a Foundation establishment overlord would have to fly for a few days without sleep if he wanted to cross the continent. There were many sects and overlords in West Earth. There were also many cultivation families. But the one with the highest status was the Tathagata of the Golden Rock Temple on Mount Thunder. Even the sect master of the Xianxia sect was much weaker than him. He had to be careful with his words and actions and didn't dare to offend him. This Tathagata's cultivation was profound, and his golden body was indestructible. Moreover, he was skilled in the art of controlling thunder. His other divine abilities were also well versed in all kinds of magic. His power was unparalleled and unfathomable. Tathagata had been in charge of the Golden Rock Temple on Mount Thunder for 500 years. Tathagata? There's a Tathagata in the Golden Rock Temple. When martial demon Lady Yi Karen heard this, her beautiful face turned pale and her mind shook violently. Could it be that the founder of the Buddhist sect on earth, the supreme Buddha Shakyamuni, hadn't passed away? Had he come to this world? Chapter 1090. When Jiang Tian heard this, he couldn't help but chuckle as he glanced at the 2 women. Then he used his divine sense to explain. He explained to them, Tathagata is not necessarily Shakyamuni. There is more than one Tathagata. Tathagata is one of the 10 titles of Buddhism. It is also a state and a job. With the way of truth, one can accumulate good karma and become a Buddha. That's why he is called Tathagata. According to the Buddhist scriptures on earth, Shakyamuni is the only Tathagata in the Saha world. But as you can see, the West Earth is a world of its own. The history of Buddhism here is even longer than that of Buddhism on earth. Besides, there are plenty of cultivation resources in this chaotic world. Naturally, other Tathagatas will be born. The woman seemed to understand something and nodded. Jiang Tian didn't want to scare Li Wuji and the others, so he didn't say anything shocking. The Tathagata of the Golden Rock Temple in the West Earth was probably more powerful than the Buddha Lord on earth. According to Mao Hongye's introduction, there were no United States. There was no unified country here. Instead, there were many countries and sections. The situation was complicated. It was more like an alliance system with the Golden Rock Temple on Thunder Mountain as the main body, the other cultivation sects as branches, and the states, cities, and families as branches and leaves. Here, the cultivation sects had already surpassed the imperial power of the secular world. Take the northern region where Jiang Tian was now, for example. There were 4 countries, 13 cities, 32 medium-sized cities like Maolin City, and many small cities, villages, and towns. The population was more than 100 million. There were also a dozen small sects, but they were all vassals of the Xianxia sect. They didn't dare to act rashly. In the vast northern region, from the king of a country to the city lords, they were all conferred titles and obeyed the orders of the Xianxia denomination. They also had to pay annual tributes. If one wanted to join the major sects, he or she must first believe in the Xianxia sect and pay annual tributes. Only then could he or she be assessed by the major sections. Or they could complete the many missions of the longevity sect and serve it, such as gathering, hunting, enforcing the law, farming, hunting, killing, and so on. Only then could they obtain merit points, rewarded cultivation methods, or the opportunity to join the sect. As for them, they were all from the cultivation families of Maolin City. The Mao family, the Fan family, the Luo family, and so on all had a foundation establishment powerhouse in charge. They were full of talents. They had originally followed their families to hunt down Wu Gong'er, so they were only part of the reserve forces. Who would have thought that they would fall for Wu Gong'er's trap? If not for Jiang Tian's intervention, they would have been reduced to Wu Gong'er's food and hostage. Among the people present, other than Mao Hongdai, Fan Xiuzhu, who was wearing silver armor, had the highest status and cultivation. He was the young master of the Fan family, which was ranked second in Maolin City. He had just stepped into the foundation establishment stage. His father was a city patrol guard and he also served in the city patrol guard. This position was equivalent to the chief of police of a city on Earth, as well as the minister of armed forces. He was responsible for social security and some military affairs. I heard that the cultivation families of Maolin City each have a foundation establishment cultivator. A large city and a large sect even have a golden core overlord in charge. Powerful sects like the Xianxia sect and the Golden Rock Temple must have countless golden core cultivators. There must be hundreds or even thousands of golden core cultivators in the West Earth world. This kind of power is far beyond the heavenly star world and the heavenly state world. Jiang Tian listened calmly, but his mind was racing. My friend, we seem to have underestimated the power of this place. The information you found in Kasayapa Guru is not very accurate. Li Wuji also thought of this and was a bit unprepared. He frowned and communicated with Jiang Tian with his soul energy. It's not like you said that only the top sects have golden core cultivators, but many cities and medium-sized sects have golden core cultivators. How many golden core cultivators did we challenge in the Xianxia sect? After all, Jia Yi hasn't been in this world for 2,000 years. A lot of the information is not accurate. Jiang Tian smiled bitterly and said, "Don't be nervous. We'll just act according to the situation." Jia Yi was the leader of a sect on Earth and was famous in the world of overlords. But in the Xianxia sect he was just a nobody. Otherwise, how could he not enjoy the rich spirit qi and cultivation resources here and work for the Earth world where spirit qi was scarce? It was as if he had been sent to a cold place to be exiled. In the cultivation world, strength was respected. The powerful sects had a strict hierarchy. Even if Jia Yi had the opportunity to communicate with the Xianxia sect in the West Earth world, he could only report unilaterally and did not dare to ask more about the situation in the West Earth world. This caused a lot of his information to be outdated and wrong. Luo Ming, who invaded the Earth world, is called the guardian elder of the Xianxia sect. Li Wuji was frightened and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. He has such a high status, but he's only at the late stage of the foundation establishment realm. His strength doesn't match his position. Luo Ming's situation is not strange. The Xianxia sect often takes over other people's bodies to prolong their lives. It's probably because they've just taken over someone's body and haven't recovered to their peak strength yet. Jiang Tian gave a possible explanation. Hey. Damn it. This guy really misled me. Li Wuji's hair stood on end and he began to think of retreating. He complained, "I thought he could be the guardian elder at the foundation establishment realm. The Xianxia sect only has 1 or 2 golden core cultivators at most. Then we can still try. But no. Taichu, let's go back." Go back? We can't go back. At least we can't go back through the teleportation array on the Golden Lotus platform. This is a one-way teleportation array. The corners of Jiang Tian's mouth curled up into a smile as he transmitted his divine sense. A one-way teleportation array. Taichu, didn't you notice before you came? You're too reckless. Li Wuji howled and complained. He only felt that the West world was extremely dangerous and he couldn't move an inch. Immortal Master Xing Tu, you're an itinerant cultivator. Why don't you work in the city patrol as a teacher-in-chief? You'll have tens of thousands of soldiers under your command. My father loves talents. He won't hesitate to hire beautiful women and crystals. The next day Fan Xiuzhu had recovered after using a lot of spirit pills. After knowing that Jiang Tian didn't belong to any sect or family, he became even more enthusiastic. This person adhered to the attitude of the strong being respected. He didn't even look at Jiang Tian because he thought he was an ordinary person. After Jiang Tian showed his strength, he was extremely respectful. He talked a lot and promised a lot of benefits. He had changed from arrogance to deference, but he was courteous and did not give people the feeling of hypocrisy. He was worthy of being a seasoned veteran. Jiang Tian smiled but didn't say anything, declining to comment. It wasn't just him. The disciples of the other cultivation clans all threw out olive branches to Jiang Tian one after another, offering generous conditions, status, beautiful women, cultivation techniques, great medicine and crystals. They promised great benefits and guided him patiently and systematically. Immortal Master Xing too, if you come to the Luo family, will definitely worship you like a god. I'm not married and don't have any brothers. We're all sisters. My father has always wanted to find a strong man to marry into our family. The pretty girl named Luo Qi was even more flirtatious and begged softly. She seemed to have the intention of selling her body. This scene shocked Madame Wu Yaonong and Yi Karen. Tang Linglong, on the other hand, had a face full of pride as she stood behind Jiang Tian, humming a little tune. However, she didn't forget to glare at Luo Qi and secretly scold her. You're so cheap. In the eyes of the overlords on Earth, Heavenly Kingdom, Star World, and West Earth were all places where the deities lived. The overlords there were like real gods. They were superior and unshakable. Provoking them was like courting death. But as soon as Jiang Tian came here, he only needed to make a move once, and he immediately gained a group of admirers who favored him greatly. Fan Xiuzhu, don't be so shameless. In the end, Mao Hongdai shouted loudly. Immortal Master Xing too is a distinguished guest of our family. If he were to stay here, he would be our guest. How could it be your turn? As soon as she said that, everyone was speechless. Although their families were not bad, their status was not as high as the daughter of the city lord. I guess you can't refuse the great temptation of joining the Xianxia sect. Fan Xiuzhu was the only one in the crowd who didn't say anything, but he smiled confidently. Fan Xiuzhu's aunt, Fan Luomei, was known as Fairy Luomei. She represented the Xianxia sect in the Yunnan country and was a true disciple of the inner sect. She had the opportunity to talk directly to the higher-ups of the Xianxia sect. He promised Jiang Tian. As long as Jiang Tian worked as a teacher for the city guards for 3 years, he would be recommended by Fan Luomei and have the opportunity to join the Xianxia sect. In his opinion, even if Jiang Tian was an expert in the middle stage of the Foundation establishment realm, he was an individual cultivator after all. He had no roots and no foundation. What he lacked the most was a backer. After walking for a while, Mao Hongdai suddenly asked, Immortal Master Xing too seems to use a flying sword. Are you from the Yanhuang tribe? As soon as she said that, everyone suddenly thought of this, and their faces instantly went pale as they looked at Jiang Tian with surprise and caution. Yanhuang tribe. Luo Qi's face turned pale. She even took a few steps back and distanced herself from Jiang Tian. She avoided Jiang Tian like a snake. It seemed that Jiang Tian was scarier than Wu Gong'er or disgusting. Tens of thousands of Yanhuang tribe members have lost their lives and become homeless. Li Wuji's face was as calm as still water when he heard this. Yi Karen and Lady Wu both looked angry. Tang Linglong directly sneered. How can the Xianxia sect be so capable? If they are so capable, why don't they fight their way to Earth? Mao Hongdie's face was gloomy. She sneered and said disdainfully, that Xianxia sect bullies the weak and fears the strong. Of course we will, but we won't be in a hurry. Fan Xiuzhu smiled awkwardly and said, the dragon taming arhat from Thunder Mountain came back injured. He said that although the cultivation level of the people on Earth is low, they are good at strange and dirty tricks. They have created a cannon that can shoot lightning and kill Jindan cultivators. The Xianxia sect does not dare to go there rashly. Now they are recruiting, collecting natural treasures and forging protective immortal treasures. Seeing Jiang Tian's unhappy face, Fan Xiuzhu seemed to be afraid of Jiang Tian's power. He quickly smiled and said, however, an overlord who has reached the middle stage of the Foundation establishment realm like Senior Xing Tu is an amazing person wherever he goes. Once his cultivation level is high, there will be people who want to recruit him. He will not be short of money. However, senior, it is better not to mention the identity of the Yan Huang tribe member. It will only invite trouble. He confided in her. The storm will pass. When the time comes, Senior Xing Tu will have the opportunity to join a large sect and climb to the peak of cultivation. Jiang Tian smiled calmly and did not comment. Although this person despised the Yan Huang tribe in his bones, this view was deeply ingrained in the hearts of any Indian tribe member. At least he was polite to Jiang Tian. It was out of kindness, so Jiang Tian could not be angry at him. Seeing that the crowd ignored Jiang Tian, Mao Hongdai scanned the crowd and sneered. Let's not talk about other things. Senior Xing Tu is our savior. Everyone should know how to repay his kindness. Keep your mouth shut. Don't talk nonsense outside and cause trouble for Senior Xing Tuesday. If I find out that you are spreading rumors, don't blame me for being ruthless. I don't care and can't care about what you do. But the Mao family will treat Senior Xing Tu as an important guest and protect him. At this moment, Jiang Tian had a better impression of this girl. She knew how to repay kindness and was responsible. Not bad. Hearing this, although the crowd felt that Mao Hongye's action was inappropriate, they did not dare to persuade her. They all nodded in agreement. Jiang Tian was about to ask about the Chongqing sect's pursuit of the Yan Huang tribe when suddenly, a dazzling rainbow pierced through the sky. The people from the family are here. Luo Qi immediately jumped up and cheered. The major cultivation families of Maolin City had extraordinary auras. In the sky, hundreds of white luans, falcons and immortal cranes with 100-meter-long wings covered the sky. On the ground, thousands of flood horses and elephant cavalry charged through the mountains and rivers. The white luans and the warriors on the cavalry had distinct armor and shiny swords and halberds. Almost all of them were in the middle or later stage of the qi refinement realm. There were also many cultivators, dressed differently and with different temperaments. They came on strange flying immortal treasures. There was no lack of foundation establishment experts. The leader was a burly man with a full beard. He was burly and had the strength of a middle foundation establishment cultivator. He jumped down from a flying chariot and walked over with a majestic gait. Father. Mao Hongdai immediately went up to him and whispered a few words. Mao Hongye's father looked at Jiang Tian with a strange glint in his eyes. He quickly walked over and thanked him with cupped fists. Daoist Xingtu, I'm Mao Bohu. I heard that you saved my daughter. I'm very grateful. I've prepared some wine in my house. Please come. At this time Mao Hongdai stepped forward and said softly, Father, please send everyone away. Immortal Master Xingtu is from the Yan Huang tribe. Mao Bohu's face froze, but he immediately calmed down and ordered calmly. Immortal Master Xingtu is an otherworldly expert. He doesn't like to be disturbed. You guys carry the corpse of the centipede spirit back to the city first. Yes. Many family leaders, cultivators, generals and soldiers responded. They took the corpse of the centipede spirit from Mao Hongdai and the others and left quickly. The other disciples rescued by Jiang Tian bowed to Jiang Tian, found their parents and left in a hurry. Luo Qi did not even look at Jiang Tian and turned to leave. Fan Xiuzhu wanted to say something but stopped. In the end he sighed regretfully and left Jiang Tian and Mao Hongdai. After everyone left. Descend the white luan carriage. Mao Bohu shouted to the white luan in the air. The carriage on the back of the white luan was engraved with restrictive patterns that could block the spiritual power of a Jindan cultivator. The person driving the carriage was a young man in black armor. He was extraordinary and had a fierce aura. He was already at the late qi refinement realm. If he were on Earth he could control a country or a sect. The young man descended the white luan carriage and walked over with majestic steps. He bowed respectfully and said, City Lord Miss. Please get on the carriage. Immortal Master Xingtu, this is the guard captain of the City Lord residence, Mao Shi. He's an outstanding disciple of the same tribe. Mao Bohu introduced. Mao Shi, this is Immortal Master Xingtu. He's the savior of Red Butterfly and the others. He's at the Foundation Establishment realm and a hero. You'll be in charge of his daily life these days. Don't be negligent. He's a Foundation Establishment realm expert? He's a liar. Mao Shi looked at Jiang Tian with disdain. He was suspicious. Jiang Tian did not have any aura that an expert should have. He was ordinary. The key was that he was from the Yan Huang tribe. One had to know that the Yen Huang tribe did not have any decent sections. They only had a few small mortal cities and scattered villages. They were not powerful at all. In the West Earth world, the Yen Huang tribe did not have any decent experts. Their fates were miserable. They were chased and trampled on like ants. This guy was blowing his own trumpet. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.